And we're back once again. It's the Horror Guys with episode 54, where we talk about horror movies and stuff. What did we see this week?
Horror movies and stuff.
All right. Okay, could we be more specific, please?
Alrighty. Well, first show of 2020, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
We're watching all these videos with 2020 vision.
New year, same show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Episode 54. This week we'll look at Horror Island from 1941.
And you do have to enunciate that carefully. Horror Island.
Horror Island. Horror Island.
Horror Island is an entirely different movie.
It might be better than the one we saw. That one's from 1941. Hammer film, Curse of the Mummy's Tomb from 1964.
Hammer time.
The Badass Babes from 2019, or maybe it's 2020, not quite sure.
Mm-hmm.
And Kwaidan from 1964. And a whole mess of little super shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super short shorts.
Super short shorts. Okay, well, there's a lot to talk about, so here we go.
What did we see first?
Horror Island.
We did see that first. Made in 1941.
Black and white.
Yep.
Universal.
Color hadn't been invented yet. Universal.
Directed by George Wagner. Written by Maurice Toombragle and Victor McLeod. Stars Dick Foran, Leo Carrillo, and Peggy Moran. Runs exactly 1 hour.
Trivia on this said they filmed this in only... Well, they released it 25 days after shooting began.
No, they filmed it in 25 days. They released it in 13 afterwards. So there's like 13 days of post-production was all.
Oh, I had that wrong.
Filming in 25 days is pretty good, but getting it out the door into theaters in 13 days, that smells like a rush job.
A bit of a rush job.
Didn't seem that bad. Wasn't great. Didn't seem terrible. What'd you think?
I thought it was a Scooby-Doo level of horror movie.
Yeah.
Very Scooby-Doo-ish.
Another one definitely on the Abbott and Costello meter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very comedic, very cartoony horror. Yeah. Abbott Costello, Scooby-Doo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A lot of these are either really good, scary horror movies, or they're silliness back in the 40s, it looks like.
This was the silly genre.
Either one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we see a man with a peg leg, the captain, limping along the dock, shadowed by a mysterious figure. The captain is stopped by a policeman, and the captain asks where Bill Martin might be. The policeman tells him where to find Martin, and the captain moves on as the shadow continues to follow him in the darkness. You get this sketchy-looking captain on a peg leg talking to the policeman. The policeman just gives him directions and moves on. Doesn't shoot him or cause him no trouble or any of that stuff. Clearly this is made in the past. Martin and his friend, whose name is Stuff, are trying to come up with a get-rich-quick scheme. There is a fight outside, and the two of them end up rescuing the captain.
Bill Martin is a man who just needs to get a damn job.
Seems that way, yeah.
Just stop.
What are we going to do for money this week?
Stop with the get-rich stuff. And,
Same thing we do every week, Stuff. We're going to try to make a few bucks. Well, the captain says the Phantom attacked him and stole half the treasure map. That was mighty convenient that he only got half of it.
Mm-hmm.
He was on his way to see Bill Martin to offer him half the $20 million treasure.
$20 million?
Of course, Martin can't refuse that.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
It's a lot of money now.
Yeah, I'd take it.
Yeah.
The captain explains how he came into the map, and that map just happens to point to Morgan Island. Just then, Morgan's cousin George shows up to let him know that he wants to buy Morgan's Island and the castle that's on it.
Heck of a coincidence, huh?
Yeah. Seems that Martin inherited it just a few years ago, and George offers $20,000 for it. Yeah, $20,000 in 1941 was a lot of money, but enough for an island with a castle, and the castle didn't look to be in bad shape.
It's an awfully nice-looking house, castle thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have sold it to him either.
Not enough.
Of course, you got to wonder why he's going day to day looking for scam work as a con man almost when he's got a castle at home.
well, and he mentioned, he couldn't unload it or something.
Couldn't unload it, right? Yeah.
Well, people would want that. Lots of people would want that.
All these mad scientists that we keep seeing, they always want a castle on an island.
It'd be a perfect lair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Martin declines the offer, starting to believe in the map. And they take it to an expert who says the map is completely fake. Still hoping to cash in on the fake map, Martin starts up a treasure hunt cruise to charge tourists to go to the island and look for treasure. The two of them get into a traffic accident outside the office, and the woman driver, whose name is Wendy, is his first customer. Before long, he has a small group willing to pay to go to the island. After narrowly avoiding an exploding package sent to stop him, they cast off and head to Morgan's Island. It's always Captain Morgan. It's the rum guy, right?
Yep.
Last week with the Old Dark House, it was Captain Morgan, too. Did Universal own Captain Morgan?
Popular name.
There's some goofiness as they all explore the castle on the island. A suit of armor shoots an arrow at the captain. Rod and Arlene Grady have some kind of scheme going on between them. As things progress, we see that the Phantom is there as well, using the secret doors to cause mischief. Wendy finds the Phantom in her room and screams. Martin keeps thinking Stuff has been doing all the Phantom appearances as a trick, but Stuff keeps denying it.
Because they had the castle rigged up for haunted house effects for the tourists, for the customers to entertain them.
Yeah. Someone shoots Rod Grady, and they find a peg leg footprint near the crime scene.
Uh-oh.
Who do we know with a peg leg?
Who could that be?
Well, they find the captain. The captain shows up, and he says he's found the treasure chamber, and he needs their help. They find a single coin, but the Shadow is watching the whole thing. The suit of armor fires again and kills the Phantom. What? Wait, what? Isn't he doing all this?
He wasn't doing it all.
The captain says he's Panama Pete, a competitor. You know, if I can't be Captain Morgan, I want to be Panama Pete. That's just a name.
Yeah, it is.
They soon find Cousin George's dead body as well. Not long afterwards, Martin puts everything together and figures out who's behind all the killings. Will they all live happily ever after?
Or not?
Well, this one's got a lot of comedic bits, but it's not exactly a full-on comedy. It's little. It's horror with really heavy comedy.
Yeah.
But it's not strictly a comedy.
It's got some grimness to it, too, like a horror movie would.
People do die.
Yeah, it's not entirely lighthearted. Yeah.
There's action and mystery and a lot of horror movie tropes, so it's not terribly good, but it's not especially bad either. It's just sort of a short, easygoing adventure story. If you want to kill an hour, give it a shot.
Yeah, it's a short one.
It's not great. It's not bad.
But it was pretty good. Yeah.
Speaking of not so great, not so bad, we also watched the Hammer film Curse of the Mummy's Tomb.
From 1964.
Yeah, what'd you think?
It was okay.
Not great, not bad.
Yeah.
This may turn out to be the most neutral episode we've ever had.
Yeah, they're all kind of middle of the road.
Directed by Michael Carreras, written by Michael Carreras, stars Terrence Morgan, Ronald Howard, and Fred Clark. Hour and 21 minutes, and this is in color.
Set in Egypt in 1900.
It's not exactly a follow-up to the Christopher Lee mummy.
No, it's different.
It's just a different mummy.
Well, in this
different backstory even, yeah.
In this one, he's not somebody that was condemned to death. He's, the mummy's actually a prince.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the royal family.
Yeah.
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 So that was different, character-wise.
So the story's different. Yeah. It's not the same old Karis or Imhotep.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. So that was kind of different, kind of interesting, having a different take this time.
Yeah. As the credits roll, the camera gives us a point-of-view shot of the explorers walking into the tomb. They open the cheap and wooden-looking doors.
Oh yeah, that was just awful. It looked like a cupboard.
Two wooden doors with cupboard handles,
brass-looking, like kitchen cupboard doors from the 60s. When it
Very
was filmed.
much like that.
Yeah.
And we see all the treasures inside.
And the treasures looked cool once they got past that door.
Yeah, that door was something. Yeah. And this is supposedly takes place in the year 1900. So a group of Egyptians ride up and kill a white man who is tied up and held prisoner. They take something from him. We then see John and his fiancée Annette wondering where her father is, since he hasn't come back to the camp. John's Egyptian servants, led by Hashmi, carry in the father's body, and John has all kinds of racist comments for the servants. He did not like Egyptians.
No.
And he's the hero of the story.
It was a different time.
It was, Yeah, how often do we say that for these
We
old
do say
movies?
that. Well, it was where it was acceptable to do that in movies, and
Yeah.
acceptable for white people to do that.
Hashmi says they'll all be dead soon because of the curse of the mummy's tomb. Dun dun dun. At Sir Giles. Sir Giles's suggestion, Hashmi arranges to license the artifacts to the London Museum for £70,000. But Alexander King, the American investor, wants to take the whole mess on an international tour and make a lot more than that.
Kind of a
as he references P.T. Barnum.
Yeah,
Sir Giles and Hashmi are offended at the very idea and are quickly fired. Mr. King takes John out to dinner to discuss the new arrangement. While they're there, someone breaks into the storage area and ransacks the room. None of the treasures are missing, but they find Ahmed's dead body, who is the least Egyptian-looking fat white man I've ever seen, and the inventory list that John spent months making has vanished. All they took was the inventory.
I wonder why.
On the boat back to London, Sir Giles and John are knocked out, but the man who attacked them falls overboard after fighting with Adam Beauchamp. Yeah, I don't know. Adam is very friendly with John and Annette, and he invites them to come stay with him at his big, palatial house in London.
He's terribly cordial.
Very, very.
Yeah.
We hear Annette explain the legend of Ra and Bey, two Egyptian princes. Bey was the sensualist, and Ra was more of a philosopher. Ra was eventually exiled, but when he became king of another region, the people there gave him the secret of life and death, written on an amulet. Bey's men attacked and killed Ra and all his men. Adam asks, "Hey, what happened to that amulet?" And then he starts getting annoyed when Annette doesn't know. Not long after, Adam starts pursuing Annette romantically. When Annette shows everyone an amulet that her father gave her right before he died, they all suddenly get very interested.
What happened to that amulet? I have no idea. Oh, by the way, I've got this amulet, but, it's totally,
Totally coincidental.
She doesn't make that connection at all, but coincidentally,
yeah,
it's the amulet.
Adam insists it's from the Old Kingdom, but John says it's probably from the mummy's tomb. Adam seems to have some kind of inside information about it.
Yeah, he seems awfully knowledgeable about this stuff for some reason.
Since he's not an Egyptologist, he's just a wealthy amateur. Supposedly.
Yeah.
John takes it to Sir Giles for help in identifying it, but someone knocks him over the head and steals it. A lot of knocking over the head in this movie.
Yeah.
Hashmi.
But they're fine. That's a movie trope, getting knocked in the head and wake up. Yeah, they're fine.
Hashmi warns King again about what he's doing, and King doesn't care about anything but money. While John is laid up from his attack, Adam keeps working on Annette. King gets up on stage and begins his spiel about the mummy. Then he loads up a 1990s PowerPoint slideshow.
1900 PowerPoint.
1900s PowerPoint. Yeah, they actually had PowerPoint in 1990. Black and white slideshow.
Yeah, he's telling the story and
demonstrating the story so far. It's an elaborate presentation leading up to the opening of the sarcophagus. He opens it up, and everyone gasps when they see it's empty. And he'd opened it up before. We'd seen the mummy already there.
We'd seen the mummy.
We know there was a mummy.
Yeah.
John wakes up and goes to see King. He thinks that the same person who stole the amulet of life also stole the mummy to use them together. Someone could cover up a real murder by using that old legend. King blows him off and dismisses him. Then King says he thinks he'll walk home tonight, which is never a good idea.
Doomed.
And sure enough, he's killed by the mummy on the way home.
Printed on his forehead right there.
Yeah. Not long after, Sir Giles gets beaten to death by the mummy, and then John and Hashmi team up to go to the police. Adam has worked himself up to the point where he's reading tacky love poems to Annette, and of course she's all captivated with the mushy stuff. He asks her to go away with him and leave John tomorrow morning. She literally writes John
a Dear John letter.
Dear John letter. It literally says that.
And they mash faces.
Yes.
Well, they do. There is a difference between kissing and just mashing faces together. You'll see actors do that sometimes. And they were definitely just mashing faces together. I don't know if the actors had no chemistry or or what. But yeah.
Before they can leave, the mummy attacks Adam while Annette watches. John and Hashmi break in before anyone actually dies.
Well, and Adam you talking about where the mummy starts going for her?
Yeah.
And he says something in Egyptian and calls it off, and then it starts to attack him.
Well, he was going for her first.
Yeah, he was going.
Yeah.
The mummy was going for her first, and Adam called him off using some arcane words that we couldn't understand because they were ancient Egyptian. Yeah.
Yeah. But later that same night, John and Hashmi trap the mummy with a net, and Hashmi apologizes to the mummy for raiding his tomb. The mummy then escapes from the net and crushes his head with his foot.
Yeah, the mummy don't buy that apology. Yeah.
He looks at John, turns, and walks out. And why didn't he kill John? Never quite clear.
Yeah, I was a little unclear on that.
Adam shows Annette his basement, where he keeps his own personal Egyptian museum, including a pharaoh's crown, which Adam claims, oh, that was always mine. Adam explains that Ramses cursed Ra's brother, B, with everlasting life, and then admits that he is B.
This isn't just a museum. These are souvenirs from his life.
His stuff.
Yeah, and that's why he knows ancient Egyptian artifacts so well, because he was there.
The only one who can release him from his own everlasting curse is his dead brother, Ra. Adam/B activates the mummy, while John beats at the door. Adam orders the mummy to kill Annette, but the mummy turns on him and kills him instead.
Which is what he wanted. Well, he had this idea that if the mummy killed Annette, that they would be together in the afterlife.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sure, then Annette wants John, you know, when she realizes that Adam is an undying Egyptian prince who wants to kill her, and, you know, then she's all like, "Oh, John, save me!
Oh, John, you're good enough now."
Yeah, feckle.
John never actually got that Dear John letter. Then the mummy takes the amulet and causes a cave-in, which buries him under like 8 or 9 big bricks that they could have dug out at any point, but we don't. They're not going to go there.
Nah.
So
that's for the sequel.
Yeah, we find out in trivia that all of Annette's lines were dubbed, and she has a lot of lines. And I wonder what was wrong with her original voice.
Don't know.
Probably the same thing that had something to do with the way she kissed. Maybe she just, you know.
I don't know. Phoned it in.
Had a voice like a chicken. I don't know.
Yeah.
And kissed like one, too. The film is really slow getting started in the beginning.
Yeah, it did take a long time before we got any actual mummy action.
And then it wraps up a little bit quickly at the end. It doesn't explain why the mummy didn't kill John, or really why he didn't kill Annette either. And there really wasn't much in the way of foreshadowing about who Adam really was.
Because he was smitten.
He was.
They mentioned that his brother Adam mentioned something about him having a weakness for women and beauty, and I think that's why he didn't go for Annette, because she was pretty and he liked her. Yeah,
and as far as the foreshadowing of Adam, we could tell right away he was creepy and probably in on it. But as far as him being like an ancient Egyptian prince,
didn't really
that
see
kind of
that
came out
coming.
of nowhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why would Adam want to run away with Annette last night if his real goal was to die with her tonight? If he wanted to die, why kill Annette as well? Yeah, we kind of answered that.
Yeah.
Overall, it was pretty good, but it played out a lot like many of the other Hammer films, and still didn't bring too much new to the Mummy's lore.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was okay.
It's all right.
It's all right.
Sort of not the worst of the Mummy movies.
No.
So, you want to see some shorts?
Sure. Lots and lots
How
of
about
them.
20?
20 of the best.
Yeah, normally we do like one decent short every week of, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. This one we have an 8-minute short that are the top 20 winners of the 15-second horror film challenge.
And it's really surprising how much you can do in 15 seconds.
This was it's a YouTube channel that is a contest where filmmakers submit their 15-second horror movies. And I don't remember how many there were, like 300 or something submitted.
Yeah.
And that some
they
YouTube celebrities narrowed it down to 20 of them.
The best of 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was good. It's a good watch. I'd recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do Paris, the Tooth Fairy, A Foot in the Door, A Pencil in the Eye, and Judgment Day have in common? They're all finalists in the 15-second horror film challenge.
Mm-hmm.
This is a non-profit international filmmaking contest in which celebrity judges decide the top films, of all of which are 15 seconds or shorter. I shouldn't have explained the whole thing if I have it written right here, should I?
And this was the 5th annual.
I think
one?
it did say that.
And
yeah.
if you look, you can see the previous years too.
Ooh, that'd be like
they
100
do this
shorts.
every year. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's obviously not
Mhm.
much you can do in 15 seconds, and these
But-
are all really, really concise, but they're all pretty good.
And they narrowed it down, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely check them out.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
You're not going to talk about any specific ones. but
No.
there were some good ones.
Because like
Not much to talk about with
you talk about it in 15 seconds, you spoil the whole thing.
Analyze each one and spend like 5 minutes talking about them all.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Speaking of spending 5 or 10 minutes on something, we
Mhm.
watched a movie called Kwaidan from 1964, Japanese subtitled.
Mm-hmm. Collection of 4 Japanese folk tales.
Anthology.
Horror anthology.
Yeah, I usually
Or-
like
I
anthologies because
usually
they've got
like
good
anthologies too.
Some stories are always strong, some stories are always kind of weak, but overall they're usually pretty entertaining.
I fell asleep.
He did. Several times.
Yeah.
I kept waking him up. and
It's
he's
a
like,
great one to sleep
"Ugh."
to. It's quiet and soothing.
It's
and
the zen of
slow.
horror movies.
It kind of is. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I saw the whole thing, so I'll give you the report.
It's a song.
Directed by Masaki Kobayashi, written by Yoko Mizuki and Lafcadio Hearn, stars Rentaro Mikuni, Michio Aratama, and Misako Watanabe. 3 hours and 3 minutes. This may be the longest thing we've seen. You think of anything longer?
I don't see how you stayed awake through all of that. That long.
Okay, so this is a Japanese anthology film with English subtitles in 4 parts. First part is called The Black Hair. And we start with long, lingering shots of a walkthrough of a ruined and abandoned old-styled house. And about this point, he started snoring.
Long, lingering shots. Just that, just keep thinking
shots.
long, lingering shots through the whole thing.
A samurai went broke because his lord went broke, and now he's off to work for a governor in a distant land, leaving Kyoto and his wife behind. This is his last chance, and he won't let anything stop him. He then marries a noblewoman to advance his career. He realizes that he loved the first wife far more than the second, and realizes also that he'd made a mistake in leaving her. The new wife catches on to this, which only makes things worse. Eventually, he completes his term of service and decides to return to the first wife. He goes back to the old shell of a house and finds the place literally crumbling beneath his feet. He finds her there as if nothing had happened. She hasn't aged a day.
Amazing.
He apologizes in shame and promises to stay with her always. She says several things that suggest they may only have this one night, but he doesn't really pick up on any of that. She blows out the candle, and they presumably have sex. The sun comes up. He smells her fragrant hair and looks at her, and we see that she's nothing but a long-dead skeleton. Dun, dun, dun. Part 1.
Yeah.
And these are fairly simple stories. This one, I think, took about 40 minutes, so it's kind of long for what happens.
Long for such simple stories. Yeah.
Well, these are Japanese. These aren't just something that some writer came up with for a movie. These are old Japanese legends
Mm-hmm.
that have been done. Well, some of them are like kabuki style, as we'll see in a minute,
Mm-hmm.
which is interminably slow.
Hmm.
The Woman of the Snow, which I thought seemed really familiar when we saw this one. Like
Yeah,
I'd seen this. I know
yeah,
I'd
you
never seen
mentioned
Kwaidan before, but I know I'd seen this story before.
Probably could have been done elsewhere.
It was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There were 2 woodcutters, an old man and a young apprentice. And immediately I had to say, you go out in the woods, you cut down wood, you carry it back and you sell the wood. What do you need to be an apprentice for? I'm a master woodcutter. I'm a junior apprentice.
Well, take some skill.
You hold
to
the axe.
make
this
the
way,
tree
clunk,
fall
clunk.
the right direction.
Yeah.
Pick the right trees and the right kind of trees. And
You know, I'm sure being a lumberjack is hard work, but I can't imagine it taking years of training.
years of apprenticeship.
Anyway.
Yeah.
One day they get caught up in a blizzard, and as they trudge through the snowy hills, we see a huge, surreal eye painted on the sky.
That was kind of neat.
Yeah, it was.
The whole sky was eyes. And
All of these take place outdoors in these really lush, fancy, high-resolution, really good-looking scenes that early on I decided, wow, they picked out some really good location shots for this.
no, it's studio.
It's all studio.
It's all studio. Yeah.
As it turns out. And, the
Big
back wall of the
studios.
studio, they painted with eyes and stuff just to
Mhm.
make it weird.
Yeah.
So, fooled me in the beginning.
So that was kind of neat, how the studio worked.
They hide out in a barn for shelter, and they finally get to sleep. Suddenly, there's a woman standing beside the sleeping men. She freezes the old man to death with her breath because she's really a snow demon.
And that's what she does. That's her job.
She pities and spares the younger man, and she finds him attractive. She swears him to secrecy and forbids him to tell anyone about her, or she'll kill him. Ever. Later, he makes it back to his village and his mother. She berates him for being weak. A year passes, and he eventually goes back to woodcutting. He meets up with a girl who has lost her family, and they become friends. He invites her to stay at his house. One thing leads to another, time passes, and she gives him 3 children. The other villagers all whine that Yuki never seems to get any older.
I wonder why.
We know because it's the same actress.
It was the same actress. I recognize that. It was good. It was good makeup. She was all ghosty.
She was lit differently.
She was all
as a
ghosty and
demon.
pale and
Yeah.
lit differently. But yeah, it was same lady.
After a while, he recognizes his loving wife to be the snow demon, but convinces himself it's not true. And then he tells her the story, and we kind of all know what's coming then. Yeah.
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 And I don't remember which one it is, but it turns out this story was done in one of the Creep shows or Tales from the Crypt or
Tales
something like that.
From the dark side.
There you go. Tales from the Dark
Side.
Side did this story. So yeah, and that's where I'd seen it before.
Uh-huh.
And then we get to the 3rd installment, which is probably the best of them, but it's also the longest and kind of most drawn out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was ready to turn it off after the first 15 minutes because, yeah.
It sounded about like that.
Yeah.
They're telling the story of this epic battle that happened centuries ago.
It's a kabuki drama. Which is just what you just did.
Yeah, it's very
Moaning,
stylized.
singing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stylized moaning singing in Japanese.
I'm sure it's very beautiful
With
to somebody
subtitles.
who understands the words, but
Maybe.
Mm.
Yeah, it was painful to our modern
put us
American
out of our
ears.
misery.
Yeah.
We get a long kabuki-style drama that shows us that long ago 2 great clans fought a great sea battle. One of the clans was wiped out, including the infant emperor. The surrounding area is said to have been haunted for the last 700 years. Now, what I just said takes 15 minutes of screen time of wailing, moaning, singing, with some okay-looking battle scenes interspersed in with pictures.
Mm-hmm.
It was not entertaining. The monks, we zoom to the present day of whenever this was,
Mm-hmm.
in a monastery where the monks take care of Hoichi, who is blind. They all get called away one evening to do a funeral for someone in town, leaving him alone at the monastery. He hears some strange noises but cannot find anyone out there. Turns out it's the ghost of one of the long-dead soldiers. The man's lord wants to hear Hoichi recite the tale of the battle, as Hoichi has gotten a little famous for telling the story.
While playing his sitar with a putty knife.
It looks like a putty knife.
It's all in the putty knife. Yeah, his guitar pick, I guess you'd call it. It looks like a putty knife.
And
It's
of course,
probably-
the song that he
it's
plays
probably
is
not.
completely tuneless to our ears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, the man leaves Hoichi off into the woods towards a huge ghostly gate that seems to lead to the underworld. The monks return and can't find Hoichi. All his stuff is still there, so they think he's wandered off. They later find him asleep in his bed and assume he had a good time last night with a girl in town. How a blind guy would find his way to town, I don't know.
Yeah, it could happen.
The next night, the ghost comes back again and leads him to the other side once more. The ghost swears him to secrecy, and this continues night after night for a long time to come. The head monk then asks Hoichi what's going on, but Hoichi won't explain.
Noticing that he's getting kind of gray and tired looking. too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're not sucking the life out of him, but he gets no sleep.
Yeah, I'm not getting any sleep.
Or maybe they are sucking life out
well,
of him.
I think
We
it's
don't know.
I think it's some of each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We see that he's been telling his story and playing his tune for the ghosts of the dead, who literally relive the action every time he tells the tale. There's a huge storm that very night, and Hoichi goes out again, but this time some of the men follow him. They grab Hoichi before the tale is over and drag him away. They then have to explain everything to the head monk, and he has a plan to free Hoichi. Will it work, or will it backfire tremendously?
Sort of worked.
And if you get the DVD cover, you see Hoichi's face with all these letters drawn on him.
Now, this part I was impressed by how much time that would have taken to do that makeup.
That was real. It had to be real.
Yeah.
It's a
Practical
pre-CGI.
makeup. Yeah. Little...
he's warded against the ghosts.
He's
is
warded.
What the letters are.
Yeah. His entire skin is covered with.
And that's the head monk's
figures.
plan.
Yeah, written figures.
Which the ending I thought was pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
It just took so long to get there. And the fourth one was the shortest of the group, called In a Cup of Tea. And we're told by a writer in the year 1900 that some stories have no ending, and there's not always a reason for it. So this 1964 film is showing us this writer sitting at a desk in 1900 who's reading a thing about a legend that took place somewhere in the distant past.
Mm-hmm.
He tells us an old story where an old samurai named Kanai looks in a bowl of water and sees a younger man reflected in it, which I thought was him as a younger person, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I thought so too at first.
He knocks over several of the glasses, but eventually he drinks it. Later, he's on guard duty and spots a cup of tea on the shelf. As he bats it to the ground, the man he saw in the reflection speaks to him. He strikes his sword at the man, but the man vanishes. The other guards laugh at him when he tells his story. Oh, what have you been drinking? Not tea.
Tea.
Well, the next night, 3 men come to the compound looking for our samurai. They say their master will return in 1 month to avenge himself on Kanai. After a crazy battle, Kanai kills all 3 of them, but they won't stay dead. The samurai then goes mad. The story stops there, and not long after, so does the film.
It was kind of abrupt.
Yeah, it kind of was.
Mm-hmm.
I assume, spoiler, that by reading the story, the writer who was telling us the story wound up in the water too. That's what happened?
That's a good theory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By reading the story, it killed the guy who was narrating it to us.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, the title, Kwaidan, simply means ghost stories in Japanese, and this film shows 4 of the 17 tales that were written in the original 1904 book. That's why these all took place in 1900. They're from a book written in 1904. There's a large cast of extras, and the nature shots are impressive. The locations look very realistic, even though they were mostly shot in a studio. Some of the shots are very artistic, with snowscapes and alien skies. I thought the snowstorm in the studio was pretty well done.
Yeah.
And the rain shots.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when somebody in a studio, they're standing in the rain, it's like they got a shower over the actor. But if you look to the sides, it looked pretty thorough.
Yeah.
All the stories are really slow-paced and are driven more by creepy visuals than by plot. There's not much background music, so it gets very quiet at times. Except for him snoring.
For me snoring.
These are traditional Japanese folktales, not studio-made, committee-written slasher flicks, and it's got a very different feel to it. The most distinctive thing I can point out about the film is just how slow it is. Don't go into this one expecting a lot of action. Instead, plan to enjoy the visuals, the slow pacedness of it all. It's a lot like reading a book. Don't be in a rush and it'll pay off. If you go in expecting a modern-style horror movie, you're going to be bored to death. Right?
Yes. This is a matter of fact.
I liked it, but be expecting it to be really, really slow.
Mm-hmm.
Take your time with this one. And then we saw one that wasn't really, really slow. It actually was kind of fast.
Badass Babes.
The Badass Babes.
It was a little on the short side, too.
42 minutes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Not exactly a short film, but not exactly a full-length feature either.
A tweener. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't have an IMDb listing yet.
Yeah, we were contacted by the producer, the writer, the star. Said, hey, you want to look at our movie?
Yeah.
And I'm not clear.
And we said, yeah.
I'm not clear whether the copyright date of this is the very end of 2019 or the early 2020. So we'll just say copyright real soon now.
Mm-hmm. Nowish. Yeah.
Written and directed by Andrew Thatcher, stars Andrew Thatcher, Ron Jeremy, and a bunch of badass babes.
Now, if you go to Andrew Thatcher's website,
ThatcherProductions.org,
you can purchase this.
Yeah.
And he's got other movies, other video games.
We'll have a link to the site in the show notes.
Mm-hmm. And he's into martial arts, too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And this is based on a video game made by Andrew Thatcher,
Mm-hmm.
which you can also get at that location. I have not played the game and really don't think I want to, but
So anyway, he sent us a copy that we could watch, and we did.
yeah.
Yeah.
An alien ship heads towards Earth. Meanwhile, a naked woman stirs her coffee with a dildo and seems to enjoy her apple in her kitchen until she's blasted by an alien.
Yes, you heard that right.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is how it starts.
Another girl is riding her skateboard when she sees an alien mothership approaching. We then see a newscaster lose her mind and undress on screen.
I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my clothes. It
Yeah.
had a lot of sick humor in it. A lot of nudie humor in it. Yeah. Yeah.
Then we see a guy watching a girl strip for money, and he gets a lap dance from her. He wants more. Then the alien shows up, and there's a quick battle between the alien and a couple of security guys, and then the stripper. She shoots him with eggs from her... Wait, what?
Yeah. Eggs from her, yeah.
Where'd those eggs come... Oh, that's where those eggs are coming from. A
Yeah.
cam girl is doing a live show until her stream is interrupted by a transmission from Ron Jeremy, who says he needs a bunch of badass babes to help fight the aliens by having a big orgy.
Yes, that Ron Jeremy. Ron Jeremy has 1,576 IMDb movie credits as an actor.
As an
and
actor.
Well, but a lot of them are mainstream stuff, but no, a lot of them are not, because he's, that kind of actor. But plus hundreds more as writer, director, producer. And he's done a lot of showbiz. Well, I mean, it's porn. A lot of it's porn, but not entirely.
I got like $5 or $8 in my pocket. You think he'd do a promo for horror guys?
I don't
I'm Ron Jeremy. Watch us horror guys.
I don't know what he charges, or if he just does it for the joy of it, continuously. There's it's prodigious. There's a lot of stuff he's done and does and still doing.
Okay, well, another girl is walking around the woods topless with her gun and is beset upon by zombies.
No, you may have gotten a sense there's a lot of nudity in this. There is female nudity. Yeah, topless, full frontal. Yeah.
The guy who started out with the stripper is now leading the resistance against the alien horde. The mostly naked women start fighting back. Will the aliens capture all the women for their alien breeding program? Will Ron Jeremy's schmeckle save the day? You'll have to watch it and find out.
Yep.
Schmeckle. I learned a new word.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he uses the word schmeckle.
He does. The
Yeah.
special effects and CGI are really pretty good for a film with this kind of budget. I was surprised that most films with the blood and the stuff, they'll do the gore with meat and fake blood. This was all
a lot
CGI.
of CGI blood, CGI gore. Yeah, a lot of it was.
In its
Not
way, it was
entirely,
very
but,
video
yeah.
gamey, but I thought it worked.
Yeah,
I thought it went pretty well.
yeah, video gaming.
I would imagine if we could ask Andrew Thatcher why he decided to get into filmmaking, that he'd probably say he wanted to combine his two favorite things, video
Martial arts
games and
movies.
naked women. Okay, maybe his four favorite things. I have no doubt he and everyone else had a lot of fun making this, and unlike most films this ridiculously bad, I have to say it was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was. It's awful, but it's a good awful. Okay, it's not awful, but you know what I mean.
It's not the worst thing we've seen.
It's no Godfather. But,
No.
But it's got female nudity if you're into that, and hostile aliens and laser guns and vaginas with teeth and laser shooting out of vaginas and martial arts scenes and gore, and it's got all the elements.
It's 41 minutes, so it's not like you're investing a whole evening in this. Watch it; it's funny.
Yeah,
It's good.
It's entertaining.
So, okay,
And Australian. Seemed to be Australian.
yeah, I think so.
Currency and
From the,
flags and
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so all thumbs sort of all over the place today.
Thumbs middle line. Yeah.
Yeah.
More up than down.
Okay.
Thumbs at a slightly upward angle. Not full thumb up, but
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Overall.
Well, get ready for next week, because we'll be discussing some more great classic and modern horror. We'll look at the Universal film Night Monster from 1942. one I don't think I've heard
I've
of.
never heard of that one.
The Evil of Frankenstein.
I've heard of that one.
Another Peter Cushing from 1964. I know I've seen that one
I've heard
before.
of that, and I think I have seen it. Yeah.
Midsummer from 2019.
We're seeing Midsummer?
I have heard so much about this, and I have not seen it. You have not seen it either.
I've read a lot of spoilers. And
Reddit seems to drool over this movie. It's either, but they drooled over Hereditary too, made by the same guy.
They're still drooling over Hereditary.
I didn't care that much.
I just
for
saw a
Hereditary.
thing today about some people raving over
So did I.
Hereditary.
Yeah, probably the same post.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you just like the unexpected and like to be shocked in your seat, Hereditary was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want a story,
It had a story. Yeah.
what didn't we like about it then? Yeah. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Go back and watch that review if you want to know what we didn't like about it.
Yeah.
So next week we'll beat up on Midsummer, unless it's really good, which it might be.
Mm-hmm.
And our international film will be Tetsuo, the Iron Man from 1989.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Marvel. Mm-hmm.
You're not that Iron Man.
Okay. Yeah.
This is a man who likes to stick iron pieces in his body, from what I read on the description.
Okay.
He's some sort of metal fetishist.
Okay. Sounds fun.
Need some badass babes to go with that.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's our show for this week.
Yeah.
See you next time.
See ya.